All right, today we are diving into one of the most famous, most influential stories ever told, the Tower of Babel. It's a really short story from the book of Genesis, but wow, its impact is just enormous.
Have you ever really stopped to think about it? Why isn't there just one language for everybody? You'd think it would make life so much easier, right? It's a question people have been asking for thousands of years.
Well, this isn't just some old folktale. The story of Babel gives a really specific, kind of dramatic reason for all this linguistic diversity. It ties it all back to one single, pivotal moment in human history.
So let's get into it. We're going to explore what happens when all of humanity is on the same page, what they decide to do with that incredible power, and how that one choice completely reshaped the world as we know it. To really get this story, you have to picture the scene. This is a world totally different from ours. It's after the Great Flood, and all of humanity is basically one big family, one cohesive group. Just think about the power in that for a second. Imagine everyone, everywhere, understanding each other perfectly. No Google Translate, no miscommunications, no language barriers at all. This kind of unity gave humanity this incredible, unprecedented potential.
But here's the thing. Instead of spreading out and filling the earth like they've been told to, their very first big move as a united people was to stop. They found this great spot and decided, you know what? Let's just stay here. They wanted to consolidate their power, which was actually a direct rejection of what they were supposed to be doing.
So, this is the crucial moment. You've got this immense power, this shared purpose. The stage is set for something huge. But what was the real motivation behind what they were about to do?
See, their big project wasn't just about building something cool. The sources are really clear on this. The building itself wasn't the issue. The issue was the why. It was all about their motivation, a blueprint for their own glory.
And their plan was pretty straightforward. You can break it down into 4 steps. Step 1, build a massive city with a tower. Step 2, make that tower so tall it seems to touch the sky. But it's steps 3 and 4 that give the game away. Make a name for ourselves and so that we won't be scattered. It's all about legacy and control.
And right there, that's the heart of the problem. That little phrase, let us make a name for ourselves. It's this deep desire for self-glorification, to prove how great and significant they are through their own work, totally separate from any higher purpose.
So when you really boil it all down, their ambition was fueled by some pretty powerful, pretty human stuff. There was this deep-seated fear of being scattered and losing control. Then there was pride, this feeling that they could build their own way to greatness. And it all came together in this one massive act of defiance.
Okay, so we've seen the whole situation from the ground, from the human perspective. But now, the story makes this really dramatic shift. The camera pulls way, way back, and we get to see this whole project from a completely different point of view.
From their perspective, standing there on that plane, this must have felt like the greatest thing in human history. They were literally trying to build a monument to their own power that reached the sky. Unbelievable ambition.
But here's where we get this incredible, profound irony. This tower, which humans thought was scraping the heavens, was apparently so small from a divine perspective that God had to come down just to get a good look at it. It completely reframes their massive achievement into something, well, tiny.
And this is where the conflict becomes crystal clear. Check out the parallel language here. The people say, "Come, let us build." And then God says, "Come, let us go down." It's like this call and response. A direct clash of 2 completely opposite wills, 2 different plans for where humanity is headed.
So, how does this all get resolved? Well, the intervention that follows is swift, it's precise, and it absolutely changes the game. It doesn't target the building, it targets the very foundation of their power.
Right, so God doesn't just send a lightning bolt to knock the tower over. That'd be too easy, and they could just rebuild. The move is much more strategic. It takes apart the engine of their success, their ability to communicate, to collaborate.
And the very name of the place, Babel, gets forever tied to this moment. The word itself sounds a lot like the Hebrew verb balal, which means to confuse. So their monument to their own name becomes a monument to their confusion.
And here's the ultimate ironic twist. The entire reason they started this project was to avoid being scattered. And yet, their attempt to prevent it is the very thing that causes it to happen. Their greatest fear becomes a reality because of their actions.
The effect was instant and total. As soon as communication broke down, the whole project just stopped. It ground to a halt.
Their grand plan to make a name for themselves was left unfinished, a big, dusty monument to their own pride.
Now, it's really easy to look at a story this old and think of it as just a story. But what's so powerful about it is that the temptation to build our own towers is just as real for us today as it was for them back then.
So what does a tower look like now? Well, it could be our career, right? Climbing that ladder to get more recognition. Or maybe it's the academic credentials we stack up to prove our worth. And what about the digital tower of social media influence, built on likes and follows? Each one of these can be an attempt to build a name for ourselves, to find our own security and significance.
And that really brings us to the core question of the story, but applied to our lives. When we build, whether it's a company, a reputation, or a family, what's the end goal? Is the whole project about us, or is it pointed towards something or someone bigger than ourselves?
And let's wrap up with this fascinating contrast. The story of Babel isn't the final word on language and unity, because in the New Testament story of Pentecost, you see this incredible reversal. You have people from all different language groups, but this time, they're brought together for a divine purpose. And the result isn't confusion and scattering, it's miraculous understanding and gathering. It suggests that maybe true unity isn't about everyone being the same, but about everyone looking in the same selfless direction. And that is a powerful thought to end on.